What? What do I?
Yeah.
Oh, I want a new Porsche.
I want $17 million.
Oh, I want $18 million.
Well, my life dream is to be able to help people in some sort of service-oriented business, but still make money and not have to swindle anybody.
I'd really like to get to do work that I really love, earn a great income at it, have a beautiful house by the ocean.
Do you have a dream?
Have lots of friends.
If you could do anything you wanted to do and have everything you've always wanted, do you know what it would be? Think about that.
Success means many wonderful, positive things. Success means personal prosperity, financial security, a better life for you and your family. Success means finding real happiness and real satisfaction from life. Success, for those with the courage to pursue it, is the goal of life. At the outset, keep in mind that the size of your success is limited only by the size of your thinking. If you think small, with small ideas and small ambitions, then your success in turn will be small. But if you think big and believe in yourself, then your success will also be big. And here's the good news. No matter who you are, or what you are, or where you are right now, you can start thinking big. You can travel the road to big success. In fact, that's what you're doing at this very moment. You are taking your first giant step toward learning and applying the magic of thinking big to your life. Thinking big begins with believing big. You know, one of the greatest pieces of success-building wisdom is found in that biblical quotation that says, "Faith can move mountains." That is the essence of believing big. When you tell yourself, "I'm positive I can," then your attitude, your belief, generates the power, the energy, and the skill to get the job done. Just listen for a moment to these two voices.
Ooh, that's a really big project. I don't know. I think it's a little bit too broad. The scope is too big for this department. Maybe what we should do is call in an outside consultant on this one.
Wow, this is really great. This kind of assignment is really going to make this department grow. This is what we've really been looking for. We need the challenge to stretch, and I give you my personal guarantee you'll get 150% out of this.
The difference between these two statements is belief. The first voice was a person who didn't believe in himself and who won't take on anything that looks bigger than his own petty view. The second person believed she could do it, and I'll give you my personal guarantee that because she believed she could do it, she got the job done. You see, belief is like a thermostat that regulates what we accomplish in life. Study the person that's just shuffling along down there in the mud of mediocrity. He believes that he's worth very little, and so he receives very little, and he accomplishes very little. His lack of belief in himself shows through in the way he walks, the way he talks, and the way he acts. Unless he can readjust his belief thermostat forward, his image of himself is going to continue to shrink. And since others see in us exactly what we see in ourselves, he will grow smaller in the estimation of the people around him as well. But now look at the person who is advancing forward. This person believes he's worth a great deal, and so he receives a great deal. He believes he can handle big, important, difficult assignments, and so he can, and so he does. In fact, everything the big thinker does, the way he handles himself with people, his thoughts, his viewpoints, all say, here is a professional. Here is an important person.
Your mind is a thought factory. It's a factory that produces thousands of thoughts each day. There are two foremen in charge of your factory. One of them is named Mr. Triumph, and the other is named Mr. Defeat. Mr. Triumph is in charge of manufacturing positive thoughts. He specializes in producing reasons why you can do things, why you're qualified, why you will succeed. Mr. Defeat is in charge of negative thought production. He's your expert on developing reasons why you can't succeed, why you're weak or inadequate. To see how these two foremen work for you, try this. Say to yourself, "It's a lousy day." This thought signals Mr. Defeat into action, and he immediately manufactures thoughts to prove that you're right. It's too hot, or it's too cold, or business looks bad today, sales will drop, you don't feel like dealing with customers, you have a headache, your wife or your husband was in a bad mood this morning. Mr. Defeat is amazingly efficient. In just a few minutes, he's done his job so well that you're completely convinced that this is a really bad day. But now tell yourself, this is a fine day. And this time, Mr. Triumph is signaled into action. And he tells you, yes, indeed, it's a wonderful day. The weather's refreshing. It's good to be alive. You can catch up on all that work today. It's a pleasure to be doing business on a day like this. And before you know it, it is a good day. Mr. Defeat will tell you why you can't land the Mortimer account. Mr. Triumph will tell you why you can. Mr. Defeat will tell you why you don't deserve the promotion and why you shouldn't even bother to try for it. Mr. Triumph will show you why no one else on earth is more qualified for that job than you are. Mr. Defeat will help you prepare a brilliant case against the guy you work with. He'll show you why he's impossible to be around and how he makes your life miserable. Mr. Triumph will show you his positive qualities and help you find ways to make your association with him succeed. The more you work with either of these foremen, the stronger they become, and the more space they take up in your mind. If you give Mr. Defeat more work, he'll take up more and more of the space, so that eventually your thought factory is producing nothing but negative thoughts. But if you give Mr. Triumph the work, then your thought factory will produce the thoughts that will propel you towards success. In fact, you can fire Mr. Defeat. You'll discover that you really don't need him at all. You can use Mr. Triumph 100% of the time and produce only positive, productive thoughts. The result of this kind of thought production is the most basic ingredient in personal success: self-belief.
A few years ago, I heard a remarkable story from an executive who talked to me after I addressed a group of business people in Atlanta. He told me that he had a personal experience that tied in perfectly with my talk that evening, and he wanted to share it with me. So we went to a coffee shop and made ourselves comfortable, and this is what he told me.
About 5 years ago, I was just plodding along. I had sort of an average job in an average place. I was living in St. Louis. I have a wife and 3 kids, and really wasn't very happy with my life. And something changed in me that I wanted to tell you about. It really directly related to what you were saying this evening. There was a job offer that came up in Atlanta for a little bit better money than I was getting at the time. And I thought, why not? You know, I'll go down and check it out. And I went down there, and in my hotel room the night before, I started thinking, why am I knocking myself out for this little measly pay raise, coming to Atlanta, relocating everything, uprooting my wife and kids? And I started thinking about friends that I had that were doing a lot better than I was, people that had lived near me or people that I had known in my business, and they were doing much better than I was. And I thought, what's different about them? And I actually sat in and started making a list of characteristics that they had and characteristics that I had, and I couldn't come up with anything really that they had that I didn't have. They weren't better educated, they weren't smarter than I was, they didn't have any better connections, and then it finally hit me. The difference was self-belief. It was faith in myself, and I didn't have that. I had been convincing myself and preaching to myself that I didn't deserve it, that I wasn't any good, or that I was average. I had never let myself believe that I could really be a success. That was a revelation to me. It was hard to accept that at first, but once I realized that was what was holding me back, it was like this big weight lifted off. It was incredible. My whole life changed. It was really that remarkable. I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning going over this stuff. And I went into the interview the next morning, 9 a.m. I wasn't the least bit tired. In fact, I was still jazzed. I was totally charged up. And I went in and I asked for half again as much money as I had planned to. And because I had self-belief and because I had confidence, they gave me the job. Since then, I'm one of the top guys in the firm, and I've really established myself as somebody who can bring in the business. And the firm reorganized 3 years ago. I got a huge bonus, a stock option, and a salary increase. Everything has just been going up and up since then. I realized that it was that discovery that night that I made, my discovery of my own self-worth and my belief in myself that made the difference. Like everyone says, you can't sell a product if you don't believe in it. And it's the same with yourself. Now, I believe in myself.
That's a remarkable story, and it's not unique. Time and time again, people have proven they can change their lives. They can increase their earning power, improve their self-esteem, change their self-image, sell themselves better, live better, be happier, and achieve greater success. And it all starts with self-belief. There are examples of the power of belief all around you. Today we fly on jet airliners because back at the turn of the century, two bicycle mechanics, Orville and Wilbur Wright, believed in themselves and their ideas. Astronauts landed on the moon in 1969, one of the greatest achievements in the history of mankind, because of the skill and determination of thousands of dedicated people. And those people were all inspired by the words and leadership of one man, John F. Kennedy, who had the power of self-belief. Right now, today, more people are becoming millionaires in America than ever before. Contrary to the Mr. and Mrs. Defeats of this world, the fact is there are more opportunities for success and big achievement right now than ever before in history. This is a fabulous, wonderful time to be alive, and you can make the most of it if you begin by believing in yourself. So I want to offer you a guide for developing the power of self-belief. It goes like this.
Number 1, think success. Don't think failure. At work, at home, with business associates, or with family and friends, substitute success thinking for failure thinking. When you face a difficult situation, think, I'll win, not I'll probably lose. When you compete with someone else, think, I'm equal to the best, not I'm outclassed. When opportunity appears, think, I can do it, never I can't. Let the master thought, I will succeed, dominate your thinking process. Thinking success conditions your mind to create plans that produce success. But thinking failure does the exact opposite. It produces failure. Number 2, remind yourself frequently that you are better than you think you are. Successful people are not superhuman. Success does not require genius. There's nothing mystical or lucky about success either. Successful people are just ordinary folks who have developed belief in themselves and what they do. So never, never sell yourself short. Third, believe big. The size of your success is determined by the size of your belief. Think little goals and expect little achievements. Think big goals and win big success. And remember this, big ideas and big plans are often easier and certainly no more difficult than small ideas and small plans.
I want to give you a quote from Ralph J. Corner, who said this at a leadership conference when he was chairman of the board of General Electric. He said, we need from every person who aspires to leadership a determination to undertake a personal program of self-development. Nobody is going to order a person to develop. Whether a person lags behind or moves ahead in his specialty is a matter of his own personal application. This is something that takes time, work, and sacrifice. Nobody can do it for you. Now that, my friends, is good advice. Start living that advice. People who reach the top rungs in business, engineering, selling, law, real estate, medical care, people who reach the top rungs in any pursuit get there by following conscientiously